Hello and welcome to PoE Bad Builds, False Blade here. Today I wanted to take a look at the build that I'm playing for Blight League. This is my league starter, and of course it is a Necromancer. A lot of people playing Necromancer this league. But it's kind of a little bit of a different twist in the Necromancer than a lot of the zombie and skeleton builds that are out there. So this is a dominating blow Necromancer that uses Summon Holy Relic to kill the enemies that you've tagged with dominating blow. So basically what happens is you tag the enemy, you get a debuff on them, and then when you kill them, they resurrect as a Sentinel of Dominance. You can have 10 normal, 3 magic, and 1 rare. And these Sentinel of Dominance actually have like a shield charge and a slam ability, so they're really powerful and they move around the map really quickly. The clear speed on them is excellent. Because you get 3 magic and 1 rare, the possibilities start to really open up because the minions actually get the affixes of what was ever on the enemy when it died. So for the rare, there's some pretty powerful combinations there because you can get allies cannot die, allies have increased energy shield, allies have increased movement speed, etc, etc. Really good buffs to have that work for all of your minions in addition to you. So it kind of gives like a headhunter-like feel to a minion build. And now they've added in a 25% chance to summon on unique hit, so it doesn't feel too bad to sustain these on solo boss fights. And they actually, I've got enough duration right now that they last like 60 seconds anyway. So you're going to be flying through the map, taking out hordes and hordes of enemies, and it's going to feel really smooth. Alright, so let's take a look at some of the items that make this build possible. The first item that you really need is the Joffrey's Legacy Great Crown. So what this does is it gives you a second Summon Holy Relic. It actually increases the cooldown on their ability, which is kind of not so great, but because you have 2 going at once, you're still getting net positive damage increase, and also the coverage on your screen is going to be a lot larger if you have 2 of them out. So that's really important. Next we have the Essence Worm Ring. So this is just a ring that lets you use an extra aura in your setup. So for me, I'm going like basically full physical, and my holy relics actually have brutality on them. So I'm using Pride and I'm using Flesh and Stone. So I have Pride set up in the Essence Worm Ring so that it doesn't reserve any mana, and that way I can have pretty much a whole unreserved mana pool plus the Flesh and Stone for Mind over Matter, and that's going to help me have a lot of extra effective health pool. Okay, so the next slot that we're going to look at is the weapon slot. Now, for Summon Holy Relic, they cast a area of effect physical spell when you hit with an attack. So, the best thing to do is have a skill that hits very quickly, that is also an attack skill, and preferably something that is fairly close range, because the way that these minions work is they kind of just follow you around really closely. So you can't be like off-screening them with like Spectral Throw or something like that, because they're not going to be on top of whatever it is, and they won't be doing actually any damage. So I decided to go with Cyclone, and I decided to go dual wield Gemini Claw, because Gemini Claws have life gain on hit and mana gain on hit. So that'll be pretty strong for our Mind over Matter setup. Both of these claws are fairly easy to craft on your own. One claw was crafted with a bound fossil to get the increased minion damage on it, and then the increased minion attack and cast speed was crafted on at a later time. The other claw was crafted with an Essence of Insanity. So the Essence of Insanity gives you a Summon Spectral Spirits skill. It's kind of like Summon Raging Spirits, but you get only 3 of them. But they're permanent and they follow you around all the time. They're also invulnerable, which makes them really great for utility, because you don't have to worry about casting them. You can fly around the map and do other things. What's also really unique about this skill is that the Summon Spectral Spirits have a shield charge, and that shield charge stuns pretty much everything. So what I have done is I've hooked up to minion damage, Ruthless, and Maim. So Ruthless also helps out with the stunning, and then Maim makes it apply a Maim on hit and also has a increased damage taken debuff. So this helps scale the dominating blow minions as well. As for the rest of the items in this build, we are looking at rares. One of the reasons why I chose this build for my league start was because I knew I would be able to get all of the items required to make it work. and that's because a lot of the items for this build are rare, and they're all items that you can self-craft yourself or get off of like one of the trade websites pretty easily. So for your amulet, you're looking at something with a lot of attributes. Your body armor is going to require a lot of strength, and Cyclone requires a lot of dexterity. You're also looking at getting a lot of mana and mana regeneration for your mind over matter. As for the anointment, it doesn't really matter what you choose, as long as you get something that has like tons of mana regen and mana or life. If I had the currency, I'd probably get the point in the tree that had the percent physical reduction, because I think that would be the strongest defensive option for this build. And then there's also one that gives your minions a chance to get Onslaught, or another one that gives your minions a chance to get Unholy Might, and both of those would be good options too. But again, those are a little bit more expensive options. I went with Dreamer because it was super cheap, and it worked really well with my build, and at the time I really needed the mana regeneration. For your body armor slot, you're looking for a strength-based chest piece, and I say that because Dominating Blow requires like 4 red sockets, so it'll be easier to color later on in the game once you're getting your 6th link if you have a red base, but also because armor is just really good and you're lacking physical damage reduction from other sources, so definitely it would be a good idea to get either a Glorious Plate or an Astral Plate. For your boots, you're looking at either a 2-stone boots that have enough resistances to help you cap out your resistances, or one of the boots that has the 30% movement speed plus like an attack dodge or spell dodge roll on it. Gloves are just looking to cap out your resist, get some chaos res and mana and life, and preferably would have an open prefix for the minions to increase damage. Another option here would be Grip of the Council, because you would get the added fizz as cold, which would be really good too. For your additional ring slot that's not the Essence Worm, you're looking for a ring that will help you cap out your resistances, preferably something with life and mana on it. Rings and amulets are also a good place to get dexterity to help you use your Cyclone and whatnot. And also, it would be a good idea to get the channeling skills have negative to mana cost. Right now, the total mana cost of my Cyclone is 2, so that -2 to mana cost makes my Cyclone totally free, which is really good because sometimes you'll get drained by like damage over time effects, and as mind over matter, this could actually stop you from continuing channeling your Cyclone, and then you lose that stun immunity that the Cyclone gives you. So that's also really important. And lastly, our belt is just capping out our elemental resistances. Preferably you'd want something like life and mana on it. Ideally, you'd want this to be a Stygian belt that has the Abyssal Jewel socket in it, and on that Jewel socket you'd look for something that had flat fizz to minions or a blind or taunt on hit jewel. Alright, so with the gearing out of the way, let's take a look at the skill tree, how I leveled up, and what ascendancies I chose and why. So first thing first, you'll start off by taking all like the general minion nodes and life nodes that any other minion build would take. This part of the tree is pretty standard. Then we're going to come over here right away to Enduring Bond. This is like minion duration, which is going to be really important for dominating blow minions. Even at the beginning of the game when you first get them, like you can honestly start using them from level 28 and they're really strong. But also, before you get them, you'll be leveling up with Summon Raging Spirits, so this helps them as well. Then we're going to come over here and pick up Mind Over Matter and some life, minion nodes over here. And then we're going to basically rush down to Resolute Technique. And the reason why we want to do this is because with Dominating Below, if you hit an enemy, you apply debuff, and you can resurrect the enemy once you kill them. But if you're missing, you're not applying a debuff. And also, with the Summon Holy Relic, same thing. If you're hitting an enemy with an attack, then it's proccing the Area of Effect spell that the Summon Holy Relic has. But if you're not, then you're not doing any damage. So this is really important, especially because since we're not actually a true attack build and we're not getting any attack damage, we're not building any like flat accuracy on our character. It would be like a total waste of space. So this is a really good like 1 point kind of node, and it's in a good area anyway because we get like all these armor nodes and life nodes, and eventually I'll get this extra jewel slot here. Then we can finish off this cluster here with Spiritual Aid. This will help you do a lot more damage leveling up, and actually, even if you have like pretty bad weapons, because you'll have so much increased minion damage by this point, your weapons will do a reasonable amount of damage even if you don't have like too bad of damage. And then once you head into late game, your weapon damage doesn't matter anyway, because the damage that your minions are doing is going to scale so much further ahead. Then we'll come down here and we'll pick up these two minion clusters. This one's really good because it's got increased damage and mana on it, so that's great for mind over matter. And this one's good because you can cap out your minion elemental resistances without having to have it on jewels. And coming down this direction is good because we also get Potency of Will, which is more skill effect duration. This works for our offerings and for our Sentinel of Dominance. And then finally we come down here and pick up the big juicy life wheel. So for our Ascendancy passives, I started off by taking Mistress of Sacrifice. The reason for this is because you get Flesh Offering at 75% effectiveness on you, which is like a ton of movement speed for leveling. And the skill effect duration is like massive as well for things like SRS leveling up, and then your Sentinel of Dominance once you actually get them. Then I came down here for Mindless Aggression. This is pretty standard. Minion movement speed, damage, attack, and cast speed. And then you can choose one of these next ones for your third point. I went with Bone Barrier because the level 20 bone armor skill is like level 20 no matter what level you are. So this is a great thing to pick up for leveling. And then also the physical damage reduction is good, but what really makes it shine is that you have so much elemental resistances because you're getting so many minions out that you'll totally always have that 30% to all res. So that's 90% res, and then also 20% more max minion life. You can't really go wrong with that. And then lastly we have the +2 to all minion skill gems. This one's pretty much a no-brainer. It's like the biggest damage increase to your dominating blow that you could possibly get on this necromancy wheel. A while ago it wasn't really working. As of patch, I think 3.8.1, this now does apply to your Sentinel of Dominance, so thumbs up to that. So yeah, I guess that's just about it. I'll leave a Path of Building link in the description if you want to see my skill gems, where I've set them up on my character. Like if you want to take a look at these passives, or if you want to like see the kind of damage numbers that this build is doing, you can take a look there. So as always, thank you for watching, and tune in next time.